Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just advice. It's survival. In this life, you will face storms that don't announce themselves. You will carry battles that no one will ever see. And sometimes, those battles will be heavy enough to shake your confidence. But here's the truth. Not every storm is meant to be shared. Some struggles are meant to make you stronger, not social. Some pain is meant to sharpen you, not broadcast you. Today, let's talk about why keeping your struggles private is not silence. It's strategy, not weakness, but wisdom, not fear, but power. Your struggles are seeds. They don't look like much at first. They come wrapped in discomfort, uncertainty, and moments when you question your own strength. But inside every struggle is the beginning of something powerful, something life-changing. And just like a seed hidden in the soil, your struggle needs darkness, stillness, and privacy to grow into its true purpose. Too many people want to announce their pain before they understand it. They want to share every hardship before they've even begun to heal. But growth doesn't work that way. When a seed is planted, it's covered by earth. It's unseen, it's uncelebrated, it's alone. But that loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. The soil protects the seed while it breaks itself open, while it transforms from something small into something strong. If the seed were exposed to the world too early, the sun would scorch it, the wind would blow it away, and the animals would tear it apart. Privacy isn't hiding, privacy is protection. The same is true for you. When you're struggling, you're in your soil phase. You're being reshaped, tested, stretched, strengthened. You're learning who you are when nobody is watching. You're discovering the kind of endurance that doesn't come from applause but from pain. And the beautiful thing is that you don't need witnesses for that kind of growth. The work you do in the dark is what becomes unstoppable in the light. Think about times in your life when you felt broken or lost. Maybe you failed at something you cared about. Maybe you were betrayed or left behind. Maybe life knocked the wind out of you so hard that you couldn't even explain what you were going through. And maybe you wanted to run to everyone and tell them how much you hurt. But the moments that truly changed you were the ones when you sat with your pain and let it teach you. Those private battles made you wiser. They made you tougher. They made you grow in ways that public attention never could. There is something sacred about the transformation that happens when your heart is pressed against difficulty, and you decide to rise quietly. When you stop asking for validation and start building your spirit from within, you plant the kind of strength that cannot be shaken. People might look at you one day and say you changed overnight. They'll think your growth was sudden. They won't understand the nights you cried, the days you doubted yourself, or the moments you had to pull yourself up from the inside out. They won't see that what looks like overnight progress took years of silent battles. Privacy gives you space to understand your struggle before the world gives its opinions. In silence, you're able to think clearly. You're able to breathe, to reflect, to adjust. You're not distracted by judgment or noise. You're not influenced by people who might root against you or misunderstand you. You're building something inside that doesn't need approval to exist, and that's the kind of growth that lasts. When you allow your struggles to grow in private, you create a foundation that's unshakable. You don't crumble under pressure because you've learned how to withstand storms alone. You don't lose yourself in criticism because you've already faced the harshest parts of yourself and survived. You don't depend on the world to lift you up because you've learned how to stand on your own. So embrace your quiet seasons. Let your struggles plant roots deep within you. Let them mold you without explanation. One day you will rise stronger and brighter than you ever imagined. And when you do, the world will see the result, but you will know the truth. You didn't grow because people watched you. You grew because you were brave enough to stay in the soil until you became something greater. Not everyone wants to see you win. And the sooner you understand that, the stronger you become. Life has a way of revealing people not through their smiles, not through their words, but through how they react when you rise. Some will cheer for you with genuine joy, while others will clap just loud enough to hide their discomfort. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because your growth reminds them of where they haven't grown. Your progress becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. In every journey, you'll meet people who celebrate your potential, push you higher, and pray for your breakthrough. But you'll also meet those who shrink when you shine, who question your moves, who whisper doubt into your dreams. This isn't meant to make you suspicious. It's meant to make you aware. When you know not everyone supports your climb, you stop handing out your energy so freely. You stop letting every voice speak into your vision. Sometimes the most dangerous negativity doesn't come from strangers. It comes from people close enough to study your weaknesses, people who mask their envy behind advice, people who smile at your face and frown at your progress. You have to recognize the difference between someone who wants you to win and someone who wants to win over you. The world is filled with both. There are people who love you, but don't want you to surpass them. People who care about you, but can't stand to see you grow beyond the version of you they're comfortable with. People who cheer for you as long as you stay in second place. And when you start rising, their tone changes, their silence gets louder, their encouragement becomes thin. They start asking questions that sound harmless, but are meant to make you doubt yourself. Are you sure you can handle that? Isn't that too big for you? Don't you think you're moving too fast? But you can't shrink your dreams to fit their comfort. You can't lower your potential to match their expectations. You weren't built to stay small just because someone else is afraid to grow. When not everyone wants you to win, you learn the value of moving quietly. You realize your goals are not public property. You start protecting your ideas, your plans, your ambitions. You keep certain things to yourself, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. A seed doesn't grow on the sidewalk for everyone to step on. It grows in a place where it's protected until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. That's how you have to treat your dreams. And even when you encounter people who envy you, don't let bitterness take root. Understand that jealousy is often a sign that you're moving towards something bigger than they ever imagined. Sometimes your courage to chase your dreams exposes the fear they've buried. Your strength reflects their hesitation. Your progress reminds them of the chances they never took. And instead of facing that truth, they project their discomfort onto you. But you cannot dim your light because it makes someone else squint. Keep shining, keep growing, keep climbing. Your purpose isn't dependent on anyone's approval. Your destiny isn't threatened by anyone's jealousy. What is meant for you cannot be stolen, slowed or stopped by someone who doesn't want to see you win. When you accept that not everyone is rooting for you, you become unstoppable. You start walking with clarity. You focus on people who genuinely support you, who want the best for you, who celebrate your victories like their own. These are the people worth keeping close, and the rest, you release them with love and keep moving. Because at the end of the day, your life is your race. Your journey is your responsibility, and your victory doesn't require anyone else's permission. The right people will rise with you, the wrong ones will fall away, and one day, when you look back at everything you've achieved, you'll realize you didn't need everyone to want you to win. You just needed the courage to keep going, even when they didn't. Emotional control is power, and once you learn to master what rises inside you, the world outside you loses its ability to break you. Life will test you. People will misunderstand you. Moments will come that try to pull you out of your character. But the greatest strength you will ever develop is the ability to stay calm when everything around you demands chaos. That calm is not weakness. That calm is authority. That calm is the moment you realize you are no longer controlled by your emotions, but guided by your wisdom. There comes a point in life where reacting to everything becomes exhausting. When you're younger, you think every insult needs a response, every disagreement needs a battle, and every challenge requires you to defend yourself. But as you grow, you start to understand something deeper. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every situation deserves your voice. Not every person has earned the right to pull emotion out of you. Real strength lives in your ability to pause, breathe, and choose your response instead of letting your emotions choose it for you. Imagine a storm. winds raging, waves crashing, lightning tearing across the sky. But at the bottom of the ocean, total stillness, absolute quiet, that's your goal. Life will throw storms at you, but emotional control allows you to remain steady beneath the surface. You may feel the pressure, but you're not moved by it. You may sense the storm, but you don't let it drag you into panic. You choose composure because composure strengthens you. Think back to moments when you reacted in anger. Maybe you said something you wish you could take back. Maybe you made a decision that cost you time, money, peace, or relationships. Anger is loud, but wisdom is quiet. Emotional control teaches you to slow down, to observe instead of erupt, to respond from purpose rather than pain. That is where you find true power. There's a reason the most disciplined people in the world are the most successful. They've learned how to set boundaries between their feelings and their actions. They don't allow temporary emotions to create permanent consequences. They understand that feelings pass, but damage done in those moments can last for years. Emotional control doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop allowing your feelings to drive the car. You take the wheel and you steer your life with intention. Picture someone who constantly reacts. Every word triggers them. Every setback sends them spiraling. Every conflict drains them. That person loses more battles with themselves than they ever lose to others. Now picture someone who responds with clarity, someone who listens without exploding, someone who thinks before they speak, someone who refuses to let pressure turn into panic. That person moves through life with purpose. Not because things are easy, but because they've learned how to rise above the noise. When you control your emotions, you protect your peace. People can try to provoke you, but they can't dictate your behavior. Situations can frustrate you, but they can't steal your focus. Life can disappoint you, but it can't derail your destiny. You learn to walk away from conflict that isn't worth engaging in. You learn to stay centered when others lose themselves. You learn to pause long enough to let your better judgment catch up to your feelings. Emotional control also creates deeper, healthier relationships. Instead of reacting defensively, you start listening with understanding. Instead of trying to win every argument, you begin searching for solutions. Instead of allowing anger to dominate conversations, you give kindness and patience a chance to speak. That's not soft. That's strength under discipline. And perhaps most importantly, emotional control helps you win the battles nobody sees. The battle against fear, the battle against doubt, the battle against frustration, impatience, and insecurity. When you master what's happening inside you, external challenges lose their power over you. You become unstoppable not because life gets easier, but because you get wiser. So hold your composure like a shield. Protect your peace like treasure. Let your responses come from strength, not impulse. Because emotional control doesn't just change your reactions. It changes your life. And the moment you learn to rule your emotions, you step into a level of power few people ever reach. Healing happens faster in silence, because silence gives your soul the uninterrupted space it needs to breathe, to mend, and to understand what it has been carrying. When you step away from the noise of the world, away from the opinions, the pressures, the expectations, you give yourself a chance to finally hear the truth inside you. And that truth is often the first step toward healing. There is a kind of restoration that only happens when you are alone with your thoughts, your pain, and your faith. Not explaining yourself, not performing strength, not pretending you're fine, just being honest within your own heart. Sometimes we forget that the most important work we do in life is done quietly. A broken bone heals under a cast, hidden from view. A deep wound recovers beneath a bandage, away from air and interference. In the same way, emotional wounds heal best when they are not being picked at by constant conversations or reopened by reliving the story too many times. There is power in reflection. There is peace in solitude. When you allow yourself to sit with your pain instead of sharing it with everyone you meet, you give your heart the chance to understand it. You begin to ask better questions. Why did this hurt me? What is it teaching me? Who am I becoming through this? And those answers don't come when you're distracted by outside noise. They come in stillness. There are times in life when talking about your struggles brings clarity. But there are also times when talking drains you more than it frees you. People mean well, but they don't always know what you need. Some will give you advice you didn't ask for. Some will project their own fears onto your situation. Some will misunderstand you and make your pain feel heavier. And some will listen out of curiosity, not compassion. Silence protects you from that. Silence preserves your spirit while it's trying to repair itself. Think about someone who has been through heartbreak. They tell everyone about their pain, hoping the talking will lighten the load. And for a moment it might. But every retelling brings the hurt back to life. Each conversation deepens the wound instead of closing it. Now imagine that same person taking time alone. No explanations, no long conversations. Just time with themselves. They journal, they pray, they breathe. They walk, they sit with their own emotions until their heart begins to settle. Bit by bit, the weight lifts, not because they shared it, but because they learned how to carry it differently. Silence didn't isolate them. Silence strengthened them. There is also a spiritual healing that happens only in quiet moments. When you stop talking, you start listening to your inner voice, to your intuition, to the guidance that often gets drowned out by the world. You start feeling the lessons hidden inside your pain. You start recognizing patterns you couldn't see before. And slowly, you begin to see that the silence was not a punishment, but a path toward understanding, a path toward acceptance, a path toward becoming someone wiser, more centered, and more resilient than before. Healing in silence teaches you patience. It teaches you self-reliance. It teaches you the value of emotional boundaries. You learn that your heart doesn't owe every person access. Your story doesn't owe every listener a chapter. Your wounds don't owe anyone an explanation. Some things are meant to be handled privately, because privacy gives them the room to transform into something stronger. And one day, you wake up and realize the pain that once felt heavy is now only a memory, a lesson, a part of your past, not your identity. You healed not because the world listened, but because you learned to listen to yourself. Silence didn't break you. Silence rebuilt you. Your comeback is more powerful when it's unexpected, because there is a special kind of strength that grows in the dark, a quiet determination that nobody sees coming. When life knocks you down, people start counting you out. They start whispering, assuming, predicting your downfall. Some even think your story is over. But what they don't know is that the very moment they stop believing in you is often the moment you start believing in yourself in a way you never have before. That's the beauty of an unexpected comeback. It doesn't need applause, it doesn't need validation, it only needs your willingness to rise when nobody is watching. There is something sacred about rebuilding yourself in silence. You're not posting about the process. You're not updating the world on your progress. You're not looking for sympathy or attention. You're working, quietly, consistently, purposefully, and while everyone else is distracted, while they're busy assuming you've given up, you're gathering strength from every lesson life has taught you. You're stitching together your confidence piece by piece. You're sharpening your mind, toughening your spirit, grounding your soul. You're preparing for a comeback that will speak louder than any explanation ever could. People forget how powerful it is to move without noise. When they think you're defeated, they stop watching. They stop expecting anything from you. They underestimate you. But what they don't understand is that being underestimated is a gift. It gives you space to grow without pressure. It gives you room to experiment, to fail, to get up again. It allows you to surprise yourself, to rise in ways you didn't even know were possible. The world might think your story paused, but behind the scenes, you're rewriting the entire script. Think about the times in your life when you went through something that shook you to your core. Maybe you lost something you thought you could never live without. Maybe you failed at something that mattered deeply to you. Maybe you felt shattered, stuck, or completely out of direction, and people around you formed their own opinions. Some supported you, some doubted you, some disappeared altogether. But the comeback didn't start when people encouraged you. The comeback didn't start when things finally went your way. The comeback started the moment you decided you were done feeling defeated, the moment you took that first quiet step toward rebuilding, and that moment often looks small from the outside. You wake up earlier, you choose discipline over comfort, you read something that changes your perspective, you pray a little longer, you take responsibility for your healing, you let go of things that weigh you down. You start caring less about who's watching and more about who you're becoming. These are the moments that build a comeback, not the loud, dramatic ones, but the consistent, private ones. Then one day, without announcing it, you rise. You walk into a room with a confidence nobody remembers you having. You start achieving goals you once thought were out of reach. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. You shine with a strength that came from surviving what could have broken you. And suddenly people look at you with surprise. They say things like you changed, you're different now, you look stronger. But what they don't realize is that this version of you was forged in silence, built in dark seasons, shaped by pain, discipline, and faith. An unexpected comeback is powerful because it's pure. It wasn't designed to impress anyone. It wasn't performed for an audience. It grew naturally, honestly, and privately. It came from your resilience, from your inner battles, from your decision to rise again. And when you return stronger, wiser, and more grounded, it becomes clear that the setback didn't break you. It built you. So if you're in a quiet season right now, if you feel unseen or underestimated, let that fuel you. Work in silence, heal in silence, grow in silence, because when your comeback finally arrives, it won't just surprise them. It will redefine you, and that is the kind of power nobody can take away. So hear me now. Keep your struggles private, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting your power. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Not because you don't trust people, but because you trust your purpose more. Your silence is not emptiness. Your silence is not fear. Your silence is the sound of you building a life stronger than the storm trying to break you. Walk with your head high. Work in silence. Heal in silence. Grow in silence, and when the time is right, let the world see what was growing in the dark.